and lovely friends, I've been lucky enough, fortunate enough, blessed enough to go to Bethlehem, to be bossed around by an Israeli teenager with a machine gun, and to be treated like cattle, along with all of the Palestinian folks trying to get through the checkpoint. I've also been blessed to go to Auschwitz and to see the place where systematically, in living memory, somebody tried to exterminate the Jewish people. And last Friday I went to Sinai Synagogue and to Makkah Mosque to say prayers with Muslims and with Jews. And can I just be the voice of our Jewish friends for a moment, who are absolutely terrified. At the moment, they're praying at Sinai Synagogue this last weekend. They prayed for my cousin, who has been kidnapped, my grandmother, who was killed. And I guess the divine thing in all of this is to recognize somebody else's pain, not to let our own pain and fear blind us to the fact that somebody else is hurting also. And let the conversation about peace and justice and love be a bigger conversation than just us and them, and maybe realizing that there's just one big us on this planet. So, last one. So lovely folks, thank you for being really gracious and kind. Please can I end with these beautiful words, which are the Jewish prayer that we had with us that day in church. And it's a hope for the future, and every one of us will be able to say Amen and Amen to this. How's this for the future? And then all that has divided us will unite. And then compassion will be wedded to power. And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both men and women will be gentle, and then both women and men will be strong. And then no person will be subject to another's will. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many. And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will cherish life's creatures. And then all will live in harmony with one another and with all the earth. Can I get a big amen to that? Bless you, lovely folks.
When I wish peace upon you, we need to remember that for Palestinians in Gaza right now, there is no peace. How can there be without justice? As of yesterday, 7,326 Palestinians have been murdered in Gaza alone. 3,000 of them are children. 57 are UN employees, 32 are journalists, and at least 28 are healthcare workers. And there are still hundreds, if not thousands, buried under the rubble. Not only are Palestinians in Gaza trying to survive a genocide, the world is now asking us to convince you that there is one, forcing us to display our dead children to the world to prove our suffering is amongst the most dehumanizing aspect of it all. Last night was the darkest night yet in Gaza, cut off completely from the outside world as the Israeli army has unleashed its most deadly bombardment to date, taking out all methods of communications. Families cannot check in with loved ones, ambulances can't be called, rescue workers don't know where to go, and local journalists can't document the atrocities that are currently taking place. Israel has dropped the equivalent of a nuclear bomb on 2.2 million besieged Palestinians. There is no food, no water, no fuel. Those that are fortunate enough are being buried in mass graves. I cannot imagine the smell of the decaying bodies under the rubble. And where is our government in all of this? We must demand a ceasefire now, an end to this massacre and to these war crimes. Unfortunately, this is not news for us Palestinians, as what is happening now is part of the settler, colonial, apartheid regime, which has been backed by our governments. What is happening now is not complicated. It is not a conflict. It is a result of 75 years of oppression, of ethnic cleansing. Right now, Palestinians in the West Bank are also being slaughtered, arrested and displaced. I have friends who have been sent death threats from right-wing Israeli settlers for speaking out. But that should not stop us from demanding an end to this bloodshed and from sharing their stories. Because in the midst of this all, we must not forget that these are real people, people with names, with hopes and with dreams. I would like to read you the last messages that we received from our family friends in Gaza yesterday before the blackout. The first one is from Merjina, who lives in Khan Yunis. Yumna and Zinette and all our loved ones are sending their love. We are strong and good. It is horror here, but we found ways to be steadfast. Shame on the UN, shame on colonial governments, shame on all the cowards that are debating the balance of justice. Do not worry about us. The best thing right now is social networking. This was followed by a photo from the garden of a single lemon tree in the midst of the rubble and the destruction. The next message is from Nolas, another family friend who has had to flee 5 times with her family. She has already lost her son and many others. This is what she had to say. No sleep yesterday. My sister's grandchild and her daughter-in-law are martyred, and 3 children have been injured. I stayed with the children who are still alive in Al-Nasser hospital. The situation is more than awful. I watched as the nurse placed my sister's grandchild's head on a garbage basket to be able to stitch his injuries, so as not to put his head on the floor.